Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nijeesh NJ from Cybersecurity Department. So today we'll be looking at the fourth experiment, that is implement an application to display the contact details using content provider. This is from the subject of mobile user face development 19 AI 539. So the requirements for performing this experiment is this Android Studio, the latest version, and i- which has emulator installed in it, and a good PC, a good system. Now let's jump on to the experiment. Uh, yeah. So before looking at in detail of the experiment by codes and all, you have to name the project as content provider. You have to select an empty activity bef- uh, for the setup of this project, and you'll have a main activity.java file will be open, where you have to code your main project, and you'll have Android manifest XML and main activity. For this experiment, we'll be using only the main activity, Android manifest, and main activity.java. We won't be using anything else. Now, let's look onto the concept of which this experiment is depending on. So, mainly this experiment is on content provider. So, let's look what is a content provider. So, a content provider is a very important component that serves a purpose for a relational database. The role of a content provider in an Android system is like a central repository in which data of an applications are stored and facilitates other application to securely access and modify that data based on the user requirements. Now, let's look on how this works. So when it comes to an application, we have three different layers: a business layer, a data access layer, a data layer. Now a content provider will be placed on the second layer, which is the data access layer, which links the data layer, where in data layer where you have SQL datas and files and other background details, and in business layer where the application user interface runs, where the user can interact and the client or a client can interact, but not anyone else. Now, in the content provider, we have a very important concept called content URI. Now, URI stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. Now, uh, you have four key components in a content provider, a content URI. So that is, first is content. Then we have authority. Then we have optional path, and we have optional ID. Now, when you look at this, comes to content. Content is the mandatory path of an URI, which represents the URI of a content URI. Authority signifies the name of the content provider. Optional path specifies the data where the content provider is located, and the ID is a numeric value which is used to access a particular record from a content provider. So this is a very important pathway which is for a content URI. We'll be using it in the experiment, and these are normally called query strings. So we'll be placing this under a query tag. So now let's look at the functions of a content provider. Functions of a content provider are creating the functions of a content provider are basically the CRUD operation. So when it comes to the CRUD operation, it's nothing but create, read, update, delete. So create, where you create an data in a content provider. Read is used to fetch the data from the content provider. Update to modify the existing data, and delete to remove the existing data from the storage. Now, for creating a content provider, there are some necessary steps to be followed. So when it comes to the necessary steps, we have to create a class in the same directory where the main activity Java is placed. So we have a file placed. We'll be accessing it later. Then you should have the URI address, that is which we have discussed before. This content, authority, optional path, and option ID. This is very important. Then we have to have 6 abstracts methods for the content provider class, and you have to access the content provider or import this content provider in your android.manifest.xml file. I'll be showing it later how it is being accessed and how we are placing it, the experiment. And for working of the content provider, first you have to import a few packages. That is the main.activity file which we have present, and we have the cursor loader which we have invoked here. You can see my cursor blinking, that's the cursor place. Here I import android.database.cursor, and then we have the content resolver which we have loaded, and provider which is loaded inside the main.activity class. Inside we have loaded, I'll show you later, and data storage, the regular one. Now let's jump on to the experiment. Yeah, so in main.activity Java file, you will be having few files imported already, few packages. The remaining you don't have to worry. Once we start coding the main portion, automatically it will be invoked in this section. So you don't have to worry that you have to invoke everything then write the code. So while we write the code, it will be automatically invoked. It will invoke, so don't worry. So let's see the main. So in this Java file, first let's create an onCreate. onCreate is the basic lifecycle of application. So we onCreate, we create we start the activity of the activity underscore main.xml. We start it. So once we start it, we are going to place few objects. So what we have to actually do for the program is that we have to get you have to get output like this. So once you click the button get contact details, you have to display the details of contacts which are stored in this emulator. So to perform that, we'll be using a content provider. So where we use a function public void button get contact. So that is the button name we have given, and get phone contacts. Now to get phone contacts function, private void get phone contact is the function where we perform all the activities of content provider. So now let's check on it. Now, so when we check over here, we have an if condition where we are checking the permission is granted or not. So here what has happened is that now when you run this program the first time, you'll be having a pop-up of the content provider asking you, can we access can we access your contacts? Is it allow or deny? So if you deny it, you won't get the contact. So make sure you give allow, because I've already executed the program, so I can't be showing you that. So otherwise it will give you an allow option. So once you allow it only, the content provider will access all the data from your phone, so that it can provide the necessary output which we are expecting. So it will ask for the permission. So that's where the permission is checked for read contacts. So read contacts is the permission which we are invoking, so that we get the user's permission to access the contacts. And so here if the permission is granted, then we can further proceed. So now content resolver, our content resolver is to get the contacts. Now let's come to the URI part. So now here is the URI where we have, so you can see over here contacts contract dot common data kinds dot phone dot content underscore URI. Now this is what I was talking about in the Word file. Content authority optional path or optional ID, the content URI, the main key concept of content provider. This is what I was talking it all about. So here in the URI we'll be invoking the in a variable. This is the class name URI, and this is the variable which we have created URI, and where we have stored the content full URI as a string. Now we'll be loading the cursor as a way with a variable name cursor, and in the cursor using content resolver class dot query is a function, and there we have given URI. Now as we told, content URI is a query string as I've mentioned before, so we'll be loading it in the query, and the remaining we keep it as null because we are not going to sort it or we're going to check anything on it. Now we are just checking that there is a contact inside the phone, so it is not equal to none. We are verifying it is not null, and log I. Now to display our output in the olden versions of Android, you can actually get it in the run menu, but in the recent Android versions you will get in the logcat. So only in the logcat menu you can find the values displayed because it's a modified latest version, so you can't find it in any other place. Now let's check how this works. This is the main portion where it starts counting. So in this if function we get the count whether it's null or it's more than 0. If it is null, it does not perform anything. We just come out of the program, or else we follow the following steps. So once it's greater than 0, so we can go through a while loop to check what is which are the contacts present. Then using the string dot contact name, we get the contact name of the user. So this is the path to get how do you get the contact. So cursor dot get string, you get the column of indexes contract. So again we have used a content provider here. You can see over here contacts contract dot common data kinds dot phone. This is another content provider, and to get the phone number we have used another content provider, phone dot number, so which gets the data of numbers to the contact related. So if it is my name Nijeesh and I have a contact number of 123456789 so all these so it will grasp the data of Nijeesh and store it in the contact name, and in the contact number 123456789 will be stored in the contact number. Now to display that in logcat we use log.i. Log.i is the function to print in the logcat menu. So in the logcat menu we'll provide the contact name and the phone number. Now let's run before running this program, let's see the main.activity file. What are the changes you have to make? So that is basically the UI which will be shown to the user. So for this UI we need to wrap the text. We have to wrap the content all over it. Make sure you use relative layout, because when you import for the first time you will have a different Android values over here. So please do erase it and change it to relative layout, which is very important because there are different functions of different layouts. We can see it later. It's a very detailed topic. So now we have to create a button. So we are using the button tag. So it's almost similar to HTML but not to HTML. So here we invoke the Android class layout width. So layout width is wrap content, and yeah, the height also we wrap it up, and we see the constraints of the bottom to the bottom, so that it is placed center. It is not placed anywhere beyond it or out of the margins, and we give the margin top. So from the top how much it has to come down. So from top it's 200 dp. So and it's horizontal, and horizontal wise it should be centerized, so we give it true. Otherwise you don't have to. Now here we perform the on click function. So here you see, right, the button get contacts. So this button dot get contacts is nothing but the function which we have invoked in main activity.java file. Here you can see, right, so public void button get contacts. So in that we have invoked the other function get phone contacts. So here is the function, the private function. So yeah, so this is how. And don't worry, this yellow line is just a warning. You can erase this warning by just putting this in a string.xml file. So basically so you can remove that. You can store this value in a string.xml file. So there you can find it. So yeah, strings.xml file. Here you can save the strings. Like you can give some string name and like get equal to some id. This id should be unique, and you can give your whole text which is displayed over here, get contact details, and you can invoke it over here. So yeah, this can be done. Then we go to the main portion where we import the packages of permissions and all. So that is Android manifest. So in Android manifest we give the content provider the permission. So here you don't have to modify anywhere. Here you have to modify users permission Android name equal to android.permission.write contact. So this is where allows the application to have a pop-up whether it should allow the access or deny the access. So this is the only reason we perform this activity, the function of this. Otherwise, if this line is not missing, it does not provide any access. These and even this line, read contacts, this is also important. Both of them should be written, or else we won't be able to get the details, or the pop-up won't be visible. So now let's move on to the screen. So I just close this up, stop the run, and let's select Pixel 3 API. Now let's run it. Yes. Now you see over here, let's go move to the logcat and let's click the button over here, get contacts detail. Now you can see over here I've got total number of contacts, my name, and there's my phone number, and there's a plumber phone over here. So this is also mentioned. So how do you verify it? Now let's and you can actually use this emulator, can be used as a normal phone. So let's move on to our phone. So yeah, now contacts, you see my name, my plumber. Let's verify the plumber's details. So yeah, plumber, let's make it a bigger screen. You have 98655232217. So 98655523217. You find the same phone number. So by this so this is already added. So in the first time when you click the content get contacts, you'll get an empty. So what you have to do is that you have to just come back. You just, as an Android phone, just create new contacts, had some random name, like I'll give it a random name sample, and I give a phone number like done. Yeah, phone number I give it as maybe 567548336, some random numbers, and I give it a save. And yeah, I give it a save. Your phone number is created, sample is created. You can see a contact displayed over here. And let's move on to our application. So when you give get contact details, you get, let's scroll down. So yeah, you get the total number of contacts 3, sample phone, so the new phone number which you add is also added over here, so same number. So yeah, this is how the fourth experiment is performed. Thanks a lot.